The world is full of incredible stories, events that seem straight out of a movie, but they actually happened. From ancient mysteries to inventions that changed humanity, today we're diving into 8 surprising historical moments that you probably haven't heard of. Ready for this journey through time? Let's go. The Middle Ages often have a reputation for ignorance and superstition, but did you know that some innovative surgeries existed back then? One example is trepanation, a procedure where doctors would drill a hole into the skull to relieve pressure on the brain. Incredibly, many patients survived these procedures, even without anesthesia or antibiotics. This shows that, despite their limitations, medieval doctors came up with ingenious ways to save lives. Speaking of mysteries, the next event takes us to ancient Egypt, where one of the world's most enigmatic structures hides secrets to this day. Ancient Egypt, full of secrets and monumental structures, but few are as mysterious as the Great Sphinx of Giza. Although it's over 4,500 years old, we still don't know who exactly built it or even why. Some scholars believe it was carved long before the pyramids, possibly by a lost civilization. And even more curious, the Sphinx's face seems to have been remodeled several times throughout history. What other secrets does the Sphinx hold? And speaking of impressive constructions, did you know the Romans used technology that was only rediscovered recently? Concrete is one of the most essential inventions of the modern world, but the Romans were already using it over 2,000 years ago. Thanks to a special ingredient, volcanic ash, they created a material so durable that structures like the Pantheon in Rome are still standing. When the Roman Empire fell, this technology was lost, and it wasn't rediscovered until 1756. It's amazing to think about how advanced the Romans were for their time. But history isn't all about impressive buildings. The next event was a literal dance epidemic. In Strasbourg in 1518, something very strange happened. A woman began dancing non-stop, and within weeks, hundreds of people were joining her, dancing without being able to stop. Some danced to the point of exhaustion, and others even lost their lives. What caused this dancing plague is still a mystery. Some experts believe it was a type of mass hysteria. Others think it might have been caused by a hallucinogenic fungus. And speaking of curious ancient stories, did you know that the marathon race was inspired by a Greek hero? The marathon race, one of the most iconic Olympic events, has an epic origin. In 490 BC, after defeating the Persians at the Battle of Marathon, the Greeks sent a soldier named Phidippides to run about 42 kilometers to Athens and announce the victory. He succeeded but fell dead from exhaustion after delivering the news. This story inspired the creation of the marathon race in the modern Olympics. Speaking of historic landmarks, the next event brings us to the invention of something that transformed the way information spread. 6. The invention of paper in the Chinese Empire. Paper might seem simple today, but it was a revolutionary invention. Created in China around 105 AD, it allowed knowledge to be recorded and transmitted much more efficiently. The process involved using plant fibers, which were pressed and dried. Paper eventually spread to the Western world in the 8th century, helping to preserve history and ideas. It's amazing how such a simple invention changed the course of history. And speaking of curious ancient stories, did you know that the marathon race was inspired by a Greek hero? In 1896, the world witnessed one of the shortest wars in history between Great Britain and Zanzibar. When the Sultan of Zanzibar defied British rule, the British attacked with full force, and in just 38 minutes, Zanzibar surrendered. The Sultan was deposed, and the British emerged victorious, a brief but remarkable war. Galileo Galilei didn't invent the telescope, but he was the first to point it at the sky and revolutionize the way we understand the universe. In 1609, Galileo observed the moons of Jupiter, the phases of Venus, and the craters of the Moon, challenging the idea that Earth was the center of the universe. His discoveries marked the beginning of modern astronomy and forever transformed our knowledge of the cosmos. These were just a few of the most incredible and surprising moments in our history. Moments that show how humanity is full of creativity, mystery, and courage. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any new videos. See you in our next adventure through history.